I came across this post in the marriage subreddit before I fell asleep last night, and I started taking screenshots. And I also commented. He says, I love my wife deeply, but I'm struggling with my attraction to her after significant weight gain. This first paragraph is going to grab y'all. Y'all gonna be air punching. Watch this. He says, my wife and I have been married for 9 years. We have 2 kids together and a third on the way. One of our children is on the autism spectrum, which, as many of you can probably imagine, adds a whole other layer of challenge and stress to our day-to-day lives. Through all of this, my wife has been incredible, an amazing mother, a devoted partner, and someone I admire deeply for her strength, morals, and principles. I love her with all my heart, and I truly see her as the person I want to grow old with. Keep in mind, he says, I'm struggling with attraction to my wife. She has 2 young children. They've only been married for 9 years. They have a third on the way and one on the autism spectrum. I want to shadow box this man's face already, but let's continue. That said, I'm struggling with something I feel ashamed to even admit. I'm not as sexually attracted to her as I once was. When we got married, she was very thin. Over the years, especially after having kids, she's gained a significant amount of weight. She knows this. She's brought it up herself and has said she wants to make a change. But the reality is that life is overwhelming between parenting, managing a household, supporting a child with special needs, and now being pregnant again. I completely understand how her health and self-care can fall by the wayside. Nothing so far about what he is doing in the household yet. Let's see if he gets to his part. But despite understanding it intellectually, I can't ignore how I feel emotionally. I hate that this bothers me. I feel like a shallow, awful person even thinking this. When we're on vacation or out in public, I sometimes notice other moms who seem to have kept it together, and I feel guilty for comparing. I don't say any of this to her, and I would never make her feel bad. I still try to be loving and affectionate because I'm still in love with her, but I know my attraction has changed, and that's a hard truth to sit with. Does this make me a bad person? Should I just push these thoughts down and hope they go away? Is there a loving and respectful way to approach this, or do I just need to accept that physical attraction ebbs and flows over time? Any honest advice would be appreciated. From the fact that I was shadow boxing, y'all should kind of know my stance already, but I actually did comment on the post, and I'm going to get to my comment, and that'll be my editorialization. Put this question, does this make me a bad person, in your back pocket? Because Sonia's going to answer that question first. Sonia says, you're not a bad person for feeling this way, but I would wait to address it at least until this next baby is sleeping through the night, if not longer. In the meantime, focus on feeding the whole household healthy meals with an emphasis on protein and fiber, vegetables. The more you're able to personally do the work to make this happen, the better. And then Sasquatch says, hey man, first off, you're not a bad person for feeling this. Attraction is complicated and is influenced by a lot of things, not just love. What matters most is how you handle it. And honestly, you sound really respectful and compassionate. You clearly love your wife and recognize everything she's going through, and that's huge. A lot of guys wouldn't even take time to see the bigger picture, but you do. That says a lot about your character. That said, it's also okay to acknowledge that physical attraction is a real part of a relationship. You're not wrong for noticing the change. You're human. What's important is to not let it turn into resentment or distance. Instead of focusing on the weight, maybe try to reconnect with her in ways that feel intimate, even if it's not sexual. Date nights, compliments, little moments that remind both of you of your bond. If she's already expressed wanting to make changes for herself, support her in that, not with pressure, but with encouragement. Join her if she wants to go on walks, cook healthier meals together, whatever makes it feel like a team effort and not a critique. But yeah, attraction does ebb and flow. What matters is if the love and respect stay steady. Sounds like they do. You're doing okay, man. Be kind to yourself. But the thing is like, stop talking about encouragement to support her. Take the kids, parent your children so that she has the time and space to go work out or the time to rest, to recharge. This woman is pregnant. She has 2 kids, one on the special needs spectrum. At what point does she get to recharge? Okay, So let me get to where I start talking before I just. Remember, he asked if he was a bad person. Well, this is me talking. I said, I do think you're a bad person. She's juggling too much and she's pregnant. And instead of taking on something so she has some free moments, you're simply thinking of yourself. Like, you literally listed out her roles. Take on some of those duties and don't make her ask you for help. Don't make her write a list. Just do it. So I was very straightforward with it. I'm like, yes, you suck. And people took some exception to that, but I did get some upvotes for it. And moving forward says, how on earth has this received so many upvotes? As soon as I read the first sentence, I was like, well, this person is getting downvoted into oblivion. But nope. He is attracted to a particular body type. He doesn't say that, because if that were the case, he wouldn't keep impregnating her. Anyways, this person says he is attracted to a particular body type. You wouldn't fault someone for saying they aren't attracted to really skinny people and they're struggling to find their partner attractive after extreme dieting and weight loss. I bet you whistle a different tune in that scenario. This part is silly because this person, I assume is a man, says it matters not about how or why she put on a significant amount of weight. He's not slamming her for being heavy or blaming her at all. He's just stating a fact. He still loves her. Geez, you need to work on being kinder. No, I don't. No, I don't. He can handle it. Prestigious Gain says, even if he is attracted to a certain body type, this woman is the mother of his children. No man who has utter admiration for their spouse will say the exact words he mentioned. And I already commented on his post. I suspect as a husband, he does not offload some of the parenting duties so his wife could work on her fitness. And then moving forward says, see, I believe you mean well, and I understand what you're suggesting, but he is literally only stating his truth. He is simply not physically attracted to her body right now. He loves his wife and says all kinds of lovely things, so he's not being a D about it at all. It doesn't matter how she gained the weight. That's not what he's arguing at all. In fact, he actually states that he understands how life is extra difficult right now. People are assuming he's not helping ease the load, but that's their own biases coming out. But for the sake of arguing whether she gained weight from childbirth, lack of activity, thyroid issues, PCOS, poor diet, stress, incurable disease, or anything, it doesn't matter here because that's not the issue. The issue is that he is no longer physically attracted to his wife at this time. That's it. He's just stating a fact, and people are not respecting it. And then I said, he didn't say he's helping ease the load. He could come back and tell us. And then moving forward says, It's a partnership. What would make you jump to assuming that he's not? That makes zero sense. And I'm just going to sum up what I said right here. I'm here on Reddit daily. Women are on here every day saying that men need to basically do more chores and do more with their kids. So that's what I basically said right here. And if he were to take on some of those duties, she would have the energy, space, and maybe she could have the opportunity to work on her fitness or get some rest or whatnot. Now here's the OP. He didn't comment this on the marriage subreddit. This is another post. And someone was basically saying you need to do more, but in a nicer tone than I did. So here he is saying, thank you for this. You're right. I needed to hear it from a different angle. I've been so caught up in how things have changed for me that I haven't truly acknowledged everything she's carrying. You're absolutely right that she's been the emotional and physical backbone of this family, and the weight she bears between the kids, the pregnancy, and our child's additional needs, and everything in between is immense. The part about admiration and shared commitment hit me hard because she does embody all of that and more. I haven't been showing up in the ways that matter most, and I see now that my perspective has been skewed. I need to step up, not just to support her physical and well-being, but to give her space to breathe, reset, and reconnect with herself. That's long overdue. And I want to start now, not for appearances, but because she deserves that and more. I really appreciate the honest call out. So let's see if he moves beyond acknowledging that he needs to do more to actually doing more. We see this every day. People are wondering how I knew because he left out a lot of stuff. If he could list all of the things that she was doing, he could have listed out the things that he's doing to ease her load. He did not. We've seen this time and time again. I knew that he wasn't doing enough. So people are upset with me, but I want to know, what do you think? Join the conversation, like, comment. This is an important conversation for us to have, especially in this political climate that is working to chip away at our rights. How our mothers, our grandmothers, our foremothers acted because they had no choices, or some of them have less choices. But we're also heading back that direction because people want to continue to chip away at women's rights. So this young woman posted in the 2X chromosome subreddit saying, "My mother's life was ruined by her husband, my father, and by forced birth laws." She says, "Bruh, it just clicked for me today why my mother's life has been so miserable. She got pregnant before marriage, and because my home country, it was anti-abortion and it was illegal, she could not get an abortion. She was forced to either be a single unwed mother, a massive cultural shame, or marry my father. So she resigned herself to her fate and has been paying for it ever since. Is likely also why she was so abusive. She loved us as her children, but she literally gave up her life and her dreams and aspirations to be a mother. Her own mother was a single unwed mother at 19 in our home country, and I'm sure she did not want to risk it. You see, generational cycles. I used to fear my life turning out like hers, but now I am beginning to understand it could never. I have choices. I have options. The world is a bigger place for me than her. And in a way, despite the horrific abuse I endured at her hands, my heart breaks for her. She had no options. My father was a lying, cheating, occult-involved, immature man-baby a-hole, and she was paying the rent when they lived in my father's family compound. Getting with him misdirected and delayed her life. So this is what we mean when we say we must break generational cycles. My heart is breaking for her. And also, we have to guard our wombs when it comes to selecting a partner as best you can. Be grilling and selective. I'm sorry if that sounds icky, but it's the most direct way I can say it. If a man is not diligent, hardworking, kind, loving, and honorable, don't effing marry or get impregnated by that man, or it'll cost you your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, your spirit, your life force energy. Some women even pay with their lives if the man turns out to be actually abusive. You will be the one pregnant for 9 months. Partnership is not effing worth it if it takes everything from you. I think a lot of women still struggle to accept that. Also, don't be envious of other people's relationships. You never the F know what on earth is going on behind closed doors. You don't. So many women and men are truly miserable. And in my opinion, it's because a lot of people struggle with self-awareness, inner security, emotional regulation, etc. They're not truly connected to themselves, so they act out in relationships, or they stay single when it gets or they stay when it gets toxic, or they are toxic because they struggle with addiction, they never healed their childhood trauma, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I'm overcome with the emotion right now. Blessings to you, and I hope everyone takes care of themselves. Try to make friends, and try to make friends with people you may not normally approach. I think a lot of people also struggle to make friends because they try to befriend only people that look like them or only energies they're familiar with. Go beyond your mind's coding and know that anyone can be a friend as long as they have a good vibe. People out there looking for a friend like you, just as you're looking for them. Save money and travel if you can, and immerse yourself in other cultures. This was long. Hope everyone takes care. The choices that you make when you're in survival mode, when you have chaos in your life, if there's abuse, if you're in an abusive childhood home and you need to get away, you probably will not make those same decisions if you are financially free, if you are safe, if you're rested, if you're healthy. You won't make those same decisions. And so that is one of the reasons why I really do think that young women need to stay focused on themselves first, get themselves their education, their careers, all of these things that give us choices and options, because we strip that away when we are going straight into a relationship and things start getting imbalanced in our lives, as far as, pursuing our careers, getting our money situation together, all of those things. And getting pregnant, your family planning will impact your financial planning. Family planning will impact your financial planning. So if you have a child way too early, it can jack you up for 2 to 3 decades, especially when you do not have money. And every other decision that you start making that point on you won't have as many options, because what if you don't have a support system? What if this person that you had a baby with sucks? It's going to impact your finances for a couple of decades. It's going to impact your mental health. It's going to impact your physical health, all of that. So like she said, self-awareness. A lot of this starts with self-awareness. And we have these conversations so we can implant it in your mind that we don't want to go back to that time where women didn't have choices and could opt in or opt out as they wanted to. So let's keep talking about the current situation that we have as people are chipping away. But let's not forget what our mothers, our grandmothers, our foremothers went through when they had absolutely no choices, and try not to get back to that point. All right, let's look at a few of these comments. Opal B says, similar story about my maternal grandmother. She had my mother late in life at 41, the youngest of 8 children. She spent 20 years of her life either pregnant or nursing a child with a man 17 years her senior. She had been a gifted violinist before he came into her life and knocked her up. And I still don't know what the circumstances were of that. By the time my siblings and I came along, she was a bitter, unpleasant old woman. Most of her children and grandchildren had nothing to do with her. The one son she had took his own life. I had my first child at 22, and yes, he was a surprise, but because it was in the early 90s and I live in a blue state, I actually had a choice in keeping him. Not long before she died, I was giving her a pedicure because she couldn't take care of her feet, and she was in her mid-80s at the time. This was 1994. I had my 2-year-old son with me, and he was sitting with me, and we kept smiling at each other while he happily played with his toys. My grandmother got this odd look on her face, and she said in a really puzzled tone, "You seem very fond of him." Yes, because he was a choice I made, not something inflicted on me by some old man. That was the day I stopped resenting her and started pitying her. She had no choices at all, and her life was wrecked by being forced to give birth to children she never wanted. And she inflicted trauma on all 8 of those children in turn, who inflicted it on their own children, and so on. This is the reason why we got to keep telling these stories. Everybody, like so many people talk about, we got to get back to those relationships that lasted 30, 40, 50 years. Well, what if those people were miserable? Like, we have to keep highlighting, shining a light on all of this, because we don't want people trapped in a house that they don't want to be in, because when they're trapped, they treat those people, that their children, like they're trapped too. They harm those people. Let's stop this cycle where it is right now. Low Elk says, imagining the difference in how you relate to a child you wanted versus a child you were forced to have is hurting my brain right now. It's stark. CRN A Boredom says, what a powerful moment you described. Anyone screeching over male loneliness epidemic or how not enough babies are being made should understand that she probably realized at that moment that if she had gotten a chance to choose how many children she had, when and with whom, she might have been able to enjoy motherhood and the loving bond between a child and parent. All those choices were stolen from her, and all that's left to her was a pain, hatred, and lost dreams, and a bunch of traumatized children. Is this what forced birthers want? bitter women who hate both them forever and also the kids they were forced to have? Are these male loneliness guys and the ones whining about how divorce should be banned actually ready to live their entire lifetime without any love with a partner that despises them and their legacy? That sounds like hell to me. But on a more positive note, I would like to think her seeing the love and fondness in new generations probably gave her hope for this world. This part right here, it probably gave her hope for this world. This is the reason why it's important for the younger generations to talk to the older generations as well, so they can have new eyes in how the world can be. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This young man was looking to be an emotional vampire. He was trying to figure out where does he go to look to find a victim to attach to suck her life force and her energy. So his account has been deleted, but the post is still here. He says, the subreddit is called What Should I Do? And he asked the question, where do I look? I'm a 20-year-old college student and I really just want an internet girlfriend, LOL. Someone I can talk to all the time that nobody in my life knows about, if that makes sense. I have no idea where to look. Now, the reason why I call him an emotional vampire is because of some of the comments in his post. So he just wants somebody to talk to so he can unload on, and he doesn't really want to connect with her. He just wants to use her. All right, so Marilyn says the internet, and he says, yes, but where, man? And then this person says, I don't know, maybe try Plenty of Fish or something more old school and set your location far away, or a cam girl. And then this person put a $sign. West Detective says cam girls will take all his money and ruin his life. And then Lone Wolf says, just use ChatGPT at this point. It might even seem more real. And then West Detective says, I agree. To make it even better, download a model that has no censoring and abuse it. Oh my goodness, this is what they're saying. All right, so Dry Session says, ask this question, how much are you willing to pay? He says absolutely nothing. So he wants somebody that he can use for emotional labor, that he can talk to. He doesn't really want to have a relationship with her, but he needs her to be available for him. He needs someone for emotional labor. He wants to do absolutely nothing. He wants to pay nothing. He doesn't want a therapist. He just wants a woman to be there to be his free resource. And that's what Dry Session said. You want free emotional labor from a woman. That is basically, they're putting it out there. This is what they need. You have men that come to the internet to say, I need a woman that is going to cook and clean for me. I need a woman that is going to organize my life, that's going to run my errands. I am not set up for this. And you have this 20-year-old college student that says, I need someone that I can talk to because I'm lonely and I don't want my friends and family to know about her. I just want to use her and I don't want to invest in her at all. Ladies need to know and understand what these people are saying about women and relationships and how they just want to use women. That woman asked the question, why do you need an internet girlfriend as opposed to a friend? What's the difference? And he says intimacy. I told y'all, this is an emotional leech. This is an emotional vampire. They really believe that women are here as resources for them to extract your life force. Please understand, I do these posts for a reason. They are letting us know that they are here to attach to you and suck your life force. This is the reason why some women, after they get out of relationships, they glow up. And while some women are in these relationships, they look like husks of themselves. They look bad because these men are draining them. And then Batwoman says, wouldn't you get better intimacy with the in-person girlfriend? And he said, absolutely. I have attachment and commitment issues. I've been with over 30 girls so far in high school and college, and I cannot for the life of me settle down. I'm lacking that comfort person, and I think I can maybe find it online. I don't know. This is the first time I've tried stuff like this. So he wants intimacy. He's out here being loose and lascivious already, and he's not finding an actual connection. He doesn't want to actually invest in a person, so he wants some woman as cheap as possible that he can use. He needs to use a woman. Girl Boss Lover says, bro, gonna be honest, I don't think this is the answer. If you're having problems with your relationship and need an internet girlfriend, it sounds like the plot of a dystopian film. I think you should maybe look inwards and see what you can work on as a person. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay as long as we're all trying. He's not trying. He needs to be in his loneliness era. This loneliness epidemic needs to become a pandemic, and then it needs to touch him. He needs to be lonely because he is a user. He is not worth it. And women need to know and understand and try to suss this stuff out. I know that it's hard, and many people don't just come right out in person and say, I'm just trying to use you for your life force. But if you see, and this is one of the reasons why dating is important. Are they willing to do any kind of dates, or are they looking to just, chill, never spend any money? Do they just want you to come over? Are they looking for you to come over and clean up their place and just looking to extract your time, energy, and resources? Like we got to keep on talking about people using you for your time, energy, and resources. And are they pouring back into you? Is there reciprocity? Is there mutual support and care and all of that? Anyways, this part, I'm going to end it here. Tipsy Bunny says she's here. And then the 20-year-old says DM. And at the bottom, Panda Global says, bro is signing up to get scammed so quick. And honestly, I would imagine that this person deserves to be scammed because he's looking to, scam a woman out of her time and energy and intimacy. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.